Alright, another Premier League weekend where I don't know what the main topic should be because there's so much things to talk about, right? Wayne Rooney breaks the record with a phenomenal free kick. Still not sure whether he meant it or not, but who cares? Because what a way to put your name into the history book, so congrats to him. Manchester City will probably feel hard done by. For the first time I think I'll ever say this, and the last, Raheem Sterling is an idiot for not going down. Like, this is a guy that we couldn't keep on his feet. He's literally hits the floor non-stop and was ripped apart for diving. Stays on his feet, doesn't get a penalty, scuffs his shot, and then the other end of the park, Tottenham score. And just, it could have been a vital 3 points for Man City. That's another talking point, I'll get to it in a minute. And then we've got Arsenal, Arsene Wenger with the handbags with the fourth official. Probably going to get a suspension for that. He's done it in the past before. And I think overall, Arsenal proved that they're not the same Arsenal in the way that they can drag out results this season. And I'm going to touch on that and why there's a couple of things that worry me about Arsenal, but they're still in this thing, more so than Liverpool. Despite the fact that there's points, only like 2 points, I believe, separating them. Liverpool's January, no one's calling this out. It's been shambolic. For a team that you want and expect to compete in the Premier League, that's going to be where I'm kicking things off here, and I'm going to probably go on a little bit of a rant, but Liverpool fans, I feel bad for them, but also they're one of the hardest to get them to understand that you can't do this in the middle of a Premier League campaign where you're challenging for the title. You can't draw against Sunderland at the start of January. You can't therefore then go through and struggle. Yeah, it's in all competitions. You lose against Southampton, might do a little bit to dent the morale. Then you draw against Manchester United, and then you lose against Swansea. Swansea. Easily the worst team in the Premier League. Easily. One of the worst defensively. And you lose to them. The best player on the park was by far and away Tom Carroll, the signing from Tottenham Hotspur. And he ripped Liverpool apart, man. Ripped them apart. Overlapping runs. They could not handle him. His crossing was phenomenal. Beautiful ball in for Llorente's second goal. First one, they couldn't deal with it. A little bit of a lucky bounce fell to him, but this is something that I've had question marks about, and I've been ripped apart. Oh, we've got Clevan's going to step in, and we've got Dejan Lovren. They're good for certain periods of time, but then they fall asleep a little bit. But Chelsea are not sleeping. They're winning games against Hull. They're winning games against Leicester when they don't even have their star striker. Sadio Mane is away at the African Cup of Nations. That's fine. He's a vital player. But if you want to win the Premier League, this is why if you go back to my clips, start of the year, depth is going to win the Premier League. And you need to rely on those players to come in. Steven Gerrard's calling out, we need Virgil van Dijk in there. I think it'd be a great signing. But you cannot rely on new signings to come in halfway through the season to revitalise your campaign. You can't lose 2 games against bottom tier teams in January and expect everyone to feel sorry and still think, yeah, you've got a campaign. You got a campaign ahead. You could still catch Chelsea. At this point, I don't know who's going to catch Chelsea, but even though the points are close, out of Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, my money's on Tottenham and Arsenal. Because Liverpool are not showing the mentality. They're not showing that mentality. Manchester United were there for the taking, and they gave away a goal from cross ball, big one into Fellaini, ricocheted off the post, whatever. They were the better team, in my opinion, but that can only go so far. And Jurgen Klopp comes out and says we need an immediate reaction. They need to show that we're back in this thing. Liverpool fans, as much as everyone rips Arsenal for having the same old story, the last few years Liverpool have shown this story. They're repeating this cycle. They don't have the mentality to maintain this title challenge. And it's more frustrating because it's not against the big teams. They beat Manchester City. And then they went and drew with Sunderland. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be bald. There's no doubt, I'd be bald. So, Liverpool need to bounce back. If you sign Virgil van Dijk before the window closes, great, good signing. Could really help the campaign moving forward. But there's bigger weaknesses in that. Jordan Henderson says we need to bounce back. He wasn't tracking his runners. The midfield were getting overwhelmed by Carroll, who was just wandering into positions, into pockets, and they didn't deal with it. Against Swansea. And I'm not meaning this derogatory towards Swansea. I'm just saying, this is Swansea we're talking about. Teams have literally bent them over on a regular basis this season. So, frustrating for Liverpool fans. Arsenal, want to get to a couple of points on Arsenal as I pull up my notes for Arsenal. You guys can deserve this. This isn't the same old Arsenal this year, and I'll start with the positives, because they have scored more headed goals than any other team this season. 12 headers. in the Premier League. That's not Arsenal. That's not the Arsenal. We like to play the ball on the feet. Well, it seems the big old Arsene is understanding that you have big players in there. You got the likes of Giroud, who's more dominant in there, I would imagine, unless he's doing scorpion kicks. So they're utilising that. Mustafi got on the bandwagon and added to that 12. So that's a good sign for Arsenal. They're not relying on just the fancy football. They're doing things that other Arsenal teams wouldn't necessarily look to. The kind of Barcelona mentality. We'll win games in our fashion. No. You win games however you can win games. So they were a little bit lucky. 97 minutes, I believe. But when you put up that sort of front and you continuously push, this is why Fergie time was often ripped by everyone who wasn't part of Fergie. But they had the mentality that they could score in the latter stages of the game. And this Arsenal team is showing that mentality on several occasions. They showed it in the Champions League against Ludogorets, Mesut Ozil's phenomenal goal, and they've shown it here against an in-form, really hard to beat Burnley side. So I give them all the credit. But, and I emphasise the but here, their discipline will be a huge problem. Xhaka gets sent off, right? This is the third of his season so far, club and country. That's not good enough. You need to understand that cannot happen. Xhaka is an important player to this team. And he's rash in his tackles. He almost hasn't adapted to, it's physical, the Premier League, but he's late an awful lot, and he doesn't have to go to ground as much as he does. That needs to be answered for. Arsene Wenger isn't exactly putting up the best example either because he's pushing fourth officials. These are small things, but this is what I'm talking about with Chelsea with Diego Costa. They've reined him in this season, even though he had his little hissy fit there. They need those players on the park. And especially Arsenal, who that midfield has been a weakness in their past. Aaron Ramsey, when he's in form, looks like a new signing. You don't need to worry about bringing in a new player in the midfield because when Aaron Ramsey's playing well, he's phenomenal. So they look good at that point, but when you get a guy sent off, especially at crucial points in the season, it's not acceptable. And Arsenal fans, again, will kind of look past it. No, he's been sent off twice. It's the same way with Aguero. I'm going to condemn it. He was probably going to miss, I believe, 4 games now. That's not acceptable. That's a huge chunk of the season when it comes down to these vital points in the Premier League. And Arsene Wenger's not setting up the best example either. So that's a huge talking point, and I'm going to finalise this. I know I usually go on for a lot longer, but I want to finalise with Wayne Rooney. So Wayne Rooney comes under an enormous amount of criticism. This is the same Wayne Rooney who, when Manchester United fans were losing, they'd often put a lot of their blame towards. He's past it. He's still trying to play his role, blah, blah, blah. He's trying to play the same old Rooney way. He's bailed you out a couple of times this season. And he deserves the credit. I remember way back against Hull when he came on off the bench and was inspirational that way. Even against Liverpool, he helped not as much. His ball into the box was what Fellaini latched on the end to, and then it ricocheted off the post, and then Ibrahimovic put it in. So he had a crucial impact there, but not just from that specific moment, but he allowed Manchester United's mentality to get back into the game, to push up the park further tactically. I know they had to sacrifice Carrick. And his free kick here, whether he meant it or not, was an absolute beauty. And he deserves that record. He's now Manchester United's all-time leading goal scorer, a phenomenal ambassador to the club, and people just allow it to come off their tongue too easy, derogatory terms for Wayne Rooney. And I just don't accept it because he's been a phenomenal ambassador for United and still can contribute, almost the way that Giggs adjusted his game and was able to contribute to the team long past his glory days. Just because you can't play the same way that you played in the past doesn't mean you cannot be an asset to your team. So Wayne Rooney bails Manchester United out. A game that's not acceptable for them either. If they want to maintain a run, they're still unbeaten, I get it. But you need to win those games as well, especially because I'm looking at Chelsea as the top of the mountain at the moment, who are just putting up a ridiculous front of confidence, of ability, of managing to manage the most bipolar character in the Premier League, bring him back into the club, into the squad, scores, shakes Conte sand. That's exactly what you have to do. So Chelsea are the team to catch at the moment, and the way they're playing, I don't know who's going to catch them. It's going to be a vital couple of games for them at the end of the season. At the end of January, they have Liverpool and then they have Arsenal. They win those games, I would say the league's over, just in my own opinion. But I have been wrong. I'm wrong quite a lot, and I'll be the first one to admit it. But I know the majority of this video could have went up yesterday because Liverpool's game was yesterday, but I wanted to see how things panned out today. As for Manchester City, hard done by Raheem Sterling, mate. Has no one told you should go down, Sterling? Is that not something that you should... Irony, man. Or karma, sorry. Comes back and bites you. He stays on his feet and the poor lad still can't win. But Lloris had a nightmare, so there you go. That allowed Manchester City to kind of grasp onto that game. A rare nightmare from Hugo Lloris. So those are my talking points. As always, hit me in the comment section below. Francis_Maxwell on Twitter. Francis M. Maxwell on Instagram. Change that name there, a little bit easier to find. Go and check that out. Go and check out my Facebook as well. I'm doing a bunch of videos over there that are riling people up in the political sphere. Maybe that's your cup of tea. Maybe it's not. Don't watch it then. But I'll see you guys soon next week. Where's the stop button? That's it.